I think that what's happening in America as far as black men, black women is concerned, is that there's a revolution within a revolution. We are fighting our own woman. Our woman will not allow us to emerge as black men. No. But our black women, who has been put in this role of aiding white America, white structure, and castrating the black male, has continued doing this. She cannot live with us. It's not that we can't live with her.
Are you blaming us? Are you saying that it's our fault that this happened?
No, I'm not blaming black America women. I just said that I'm blaming the system. They are victims of the system like the black male.
Well, why do you say that we are castrating you? You say that you want to be the leaders. Okay. Well, what about the black professional woman? Are you saying that there should be no black professional woman? Are you trying to deny black women the right to be creative, the right to function? Okay, how are you going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility? And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think that you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because you know women, as long as we can get, we're gonna get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
You don't want to live on the level of income that I can afford you in love. Me, on the basis of that, you want to always be aspiring to have all those things that's a part of the great middle-class white American society, and because I can't deliver these things to you, you say that you are not a man.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me, whether when I'm tired and I'm sick.
Hey, my Gilmore brothers, back again with a pre-record. It's been a minute. But I just want to talk about, obviously, the flavor of the month is Passport Bros. And we keep getting inundated by this kind of stuff. And I'm kind of waiting for it to kind of die down. So I can actually go on to other things. I'm going to go on to other things anyway. There's a whole lot of stuff that's happening around the world in other areas that I need to talk about. But I want to just say this. And I want to put Passport Bros in this movement, or this this phenomenon in perspective. Passport Bros is just part of a wave. It's not the wave. I always said that. Just like Kevin Samuels wasn't the wave. It was part of a wave. It was part of a wave that was already coming. I said it before. As automation was going to sink in, or was going to start taking jobs from people, or start removing jobs out of circulation and changing what people actually do, it was going to cause a disruption. And the way women actually cope with disruption is by finding a partner. Male, female, whatever. You see more lesbian relationships now than you ever did, because women do not, as Cerulin says, do not oppose the environment. They nest in it. So if the environment gets hostile, they got to find a partner, or they got to find a network to actually nest in, to actually exist in. Women really don't exist out by themselves like that. The only reason you see a lot of independent women is because the government has become husband, has become partner. Gotta remember, husband, partner, that kind of coupling is just only a way to actually organize people. It's not sacred. Never has been sacred. The group has always been sacred. The society, the clan, the group has always been sacred. Never one man, one woman, or one man and a group of women. That's just the way how you organize people within a group or a society. People forget that. People think that this stuff is just, ordained from God on high. But if you go back and look at anthropology, it's not the way the original folks that came out of the trees organized themselves. It's much more like the the if you believe in evolution, the animals that they were. But getting back on topic, this is just a wave. And I was already seeing signs of it in 2018, 2019, where you see the despondent look in a lot of women that were stuck. You got to remember, most people, okay, the median earnings of most people in the United States is less than $30,000 a year. That's median, 50% of the people. If you look at the single people, cut out the married people, because married people, they're normally the more of the success story because of this environment, which is weird because marriage used to be the way out of poverty. So it's strange how things have turned themselves upside down. But nevertheless, more successful people tend to be marrying each other and pooling their resources. And those kind of get taken out of the pool. But if you look at the single pool, people that are left over, man, I wouldn't say most people, but closer to like 40% of singles, man, earn less than $20,000 a year. Especially if you're black. I think black is 45%. Earn less than $20,000 a year. That's getting close to half. And that's just the eligible pool of daters. We're not even talking about the kids, the teenagers and the kids in their early 20s. We're just talking about the pool of daters between 25 and 45. So if the economy that's been on a knife's edge anyway is going to take a downturn, as it has, and start shedding workers as it is right now, then you're going to see an acceleration of something like this, right? And after 50 years of being tossed around by black women in this society, because black women is not alone. That's why I played that clip. It's not just black women. This whole society has tossed around black men and black boys and made them the designated underclass. And it doesn't matter what black men earn, because even though they've earned fairly standard wages, the ones that can earn, they've been denigrated. They've been denigrated as a low class option for most women, and even by their women. So they have been denigrated by white men, white women, and black women. And there was very little that they could do. They were stuck with the choices that you have, because this unlevel playing field doesn't give you very much choice. You have to take a choice, take a chance, and roll the dice. But since since 2009, the World Economic Forum started bringing in more innovation, and the internet has opened up more opportunities. Even though the situation is not as ideal as one would like, the thing is the choices are opening up, because they have to. They have to open things up. They have to unlock boxes. They have to allow movement, and they have to allow movement between people. So the boxes that were locked for black men are becoming unlocked by necessity. You're going to have to start blending these people in. You're going to have to start democratizing opportunities and choices. You're going to have to start leveling the playing field, because that's what the economy and that's what the society needs right now. So I'm saying all that to say this. Okay, this was already happening. Things were already kind of opening up for black men. And a lot of choices for all women, not just black women, but all women, was starting to happen because automation doesn't care. Doesn't care about color. Doesn't care about race. And sometimes it doesn't even care about your education. When it hits, it hits. And once it hits people of all races and all levels fairly equally, what's going to happen is that race as a class is not going to matter as much. So in other words, if your economic class or your abilities fit a particular person, that woman is probably going to pick you, or that person is probably going to pick you. So that means they're less likely to hold the old-fashioned racial and class norms, because now you put an admixture on steroids out of necessity. Instead of the government doing it, the environment's doing it. Generation Z is actually part of that move, that admixture move, because by necessity, a lot of schools were being closed down because of what? Guess what? You're not having kids. So the less kids you have. And a lot of these schools were built for baby boomers when the birth rate was, fertility rate was near 4. Go back to the 1950s and 60s with the high point of fertility, right? It was like, I think it was like the fertility rate, was almost 4. And now the fertility rate is down, like 300%, 3 times. In other words, it's 3 times down, right? Almost 300%. So you have facilities, schools that were built for 60, 70 million children, and you're only producing like 30. What's going to happen? The schools that are needed are going to get shut down. And if they're going to get shut down and the fertility rate is still up for highest for black and Latino, are they going to shut down a black and Latino school, a white school? No, they're going to keep the white school open for white students, even though there's fewer of them. But to make the numbers work, they're going to have to do what? Bus in black and Latino students. So you're democratizing the playground. Much what civil rights tried to do back in the 1950s and 60s and 70s by force. But now it's happening by what? It's just happening by necessity, by nature, organically. So once you democratize the playground, you democratize the school ground, democratize the schoolyard, because the schoolyard was separated for what? Because white men didn't want little black boys to be socialized around little white girls. Now that's norm. It's normal. You democratize dating and mating. You democratize what little black boys are imprinted on. White, Latino, Asian, he has his pick. That was already happening. Now we're going to fast forward to 2019, just before COVID. C-19 was already there and already on its way. You're already having economic crises under Donald Trump. Automation is creeping its way in. People are quietly being replaced. But it's slow, it's manageable. All of a sudden, 2020, here comes C-19. Early March 2020, Donald Trump shuts down the whole country economically. Much like China, much like Asia, much like most of Europe. Same thing, because you got all these people dying in the street. Shut it down by necessity, or slowed it down by necessity. So the whole world took a pause. All at the same time. Never happened before in the history of the world, really, where the whole world at the same time did the same thing. Just took a pause. And gave the 8 billion people time to reevaluate their life. What was important, instead of the progressive, industrial, capitalist focus on making money and living that dream life. All of a sudden, that wasn't possible for the 2 years under C-19. People had a chance to evaluate what was important and what was not. All of a sudden, the drive toward having hookups and sex and dating wasn't as important anymore. Because you had to go 6 months to a year without the constant duration of sex and dating and hooking up. It really wasn't allowed for a whole year. And it was still, when it opened up in 2021 or towards 2021, it was still slow opening up. So now the normal way of meeting, dating, and organizing people is not there anymore. And the truths that you held, as far as that is concerned, and really as far as life is concerned, changed. You match that with remote work, which accelerated. I mean, really accelerated under C-19. Corporations that couldn't imagine doing remote work and making it work well because it was too expensive or too unthinkable or not the norm, all of a sudden it became the norm. All of a sudden it became possible. And for the year or two that these young people were actually on this remote work, they preferred it. And the cost associated with having people in a workplace gave other companies and corporations saying, hey, you know what? We don't need this big, expensive office building to house all these people for 10 to 12 hours a day. They can stay home. They can work remotely and get the same kind of production done, sometimes even more done, by being at home without all the aggravation and the cost and all the other things associated with being in office. So now, with the internet, with the ability to work remotely, with the dating apps and the internet and social media, you can also virtually date remotely. So if you're on a dating app and you're meeting somebody in the next town on the internet and you're talking back and forth, okay, it's the same thing as talking to somebody across country. If you're talking about somebody across country, it's the same thing talking about somebody on the other side of the world. And during COVID, hooking up, or not hooking up, but talking, socializing, getting to know somebody became remote and became normalized. They found effective strategies to do that. But if you can do that with somebody, if you're in LA, you can do it with somebody in New York. You can actually do it with somebody in Colombia, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Honduras, Mexico. What you did was globalize and democratize dating and mating. And I heard Phil Scott use the same words that I use. So I said, this dude just steal my research. But shout out to him, okay? It's out there so people can actually get it, get the focus, get the intent, get the underlying conditions that cause all this. Well, let me go ahead and accelerate this instead of rambling on. People think socialization and nurture are the biggest factors in human beings, and it is a big factor, but don't get it twisted. The environment still causes people to do things, will still move people to do things faster than anything else. So the speed of Passport Bros is not caused by a hashtag. It's not caused because some black women get on the pipe or get on the TikTok and complain about it. Does it help? Yeah. But it didn't cause it. And just like it didn't cause it, it's not going to stop it. C-19 causing remote work. And the dating apps allowing people to virtually meet over many thousands of miles. That's what helped. That's what caused it. These brothers are already doing it in 2019. They're already starting to accelerate this in 2020. And once things open back up, you got brothers that do remote work. You got brothers that have a remote business. Have brothers that can live outside the United States and do their due diligence and do work for 3, 4, 5 months. It's a match made in heaven. All of a sudden, boom, the Passport Bros are born. The wave is already there. It's already building. And then you get Austin Hollerman, his interview, to actually bring awareness to a movement, a wave that's already there and already growing and already in full steam. And black women wake up and said, oh crap. They're already going. They're already leaving. And what does Sister George say? It's a fundamental belief that you Negroes aren't going to leave. And black women are not going to believe anything or change or think about changing until they see you start leaving. And fundamentally, black women have never considered under any circumstances that black men will start leaving in wholesale. They don't mind black men dating out because if they're dating out, they're still available. They didn't like it and they fussed about it and they helped blow up SYSBM. They really did by complaining. But since they date out too, and they've been dating out, they've been dating white men since the 1500s. Okay, it's not new. They've had access to white men since they came over in the boat because the white man was the first person to have sex with on the boat. They have sex with the locked up slaves down on there. They got up and were belly warmers for the white crew. They were having sex with white men as they were being shipped over. They were having sex. They were pregnant. You know, a lot of black female slaves couldn't even travel because they were already pregnant by the white slave master. So they had to build whole towns for these chicks and their children. That's a different story. Go read Daughters of the Trade. Black women were not brought over here to be wives to black men that were slaves. That was just a circumstance of what? Emancipation. Go read Diane Stewart's book, Black Women and Black Love, and black women's approach to family and mating. Okay, and she identifies the pattern. I mean, black women have had this pattern forever. There's a distinct pattern that black women actually mate and date and have families in the United States. A very distinct pattern. It's not what you think. Never been what you think. Never been what people imagine it is. This idyllic black family never existed. Okay? But black women have never imagined that black men would have the freedom and the level playing field to date who they wish. And a few isolated incidents that they would see, they would attack it. But the thing is, it wasn't enough to actually worry about, right? Wholesale. It never challenged them. But C-19, the Latinas that are coming in and taking their men underneath, they see it, they just don't talk about it. But this move, this wave, this democratization of the dating of black men, the dating and mating of black men, crystallized with Austin Holloman and the PassPort Bros, because they could visually see the examples, example after example of black men leaving, finding, as the short that I played, finding their happiness, finding their paradise, finding the women that they like, that they dreamed of, that they talk about, the ones that black women say don't exist, or the ones that black women say don't like you, or ones that black women say that you can't get because you're dusty, or whatever the other attributes they tie to you. There's proof that yes, you can. There's proof if you have enough gumption, enough gusto, you can actually go out and find a woman that can be compatible to you. And black men were waving it in their faces. And they were on the back end shaming them for not being the women that they could actually find. Because black women had the qualifiers, which was never true, that if you look a certain way, we have enough social capital, you can be entertaining enough, or vivacious enough to actually keep a woman happy, keep her attention, and attract her. If you add up all these things, if you attain this, then you'll get the results that you desire. You'll get a cooperative, submissive wife, which everybody knows is bullshit, because we proved that on the Black Manuscript, because we have people of all different classes, all different looks, all different educational levels. Okay, we got men of all levels, people that make from millions of dollars a year, all the way down to the guy that's barely making anything. from Pookie and Ray Ray all the way up to Carlton Banks. All saying the same thing. That just because you make this, just because you are this, doesn't mean that black women can or will change. It's because they can't. Somebody's playing a piece by Michelle Obama, right? Michelle Obama was just like any other sister that's married, talking about her husband. Michelle Obama could have been talking about the plumber or talking about the guy at Walmart with the same kind of complaints. In fact, I think the guy working at Walmart would have got less complaints than Michelle Obama gave Barack Obama. It shows you can be the most powerful, educated, highest status black male on the planet and still get the same results from a black woman. That's all it showed. In fact, I'm going to do a reaction to that because that's been circulating, and me and Dr. T and Green Gorilla have actually talked about this. I'm going to do a video on it. Dr. T's supposed to do a video on it, but I haven't done it yet. And me and Sergeant Willie Pete, shout out to him. We went back and forth for a whole 2 months about this. And the first thing I said, it was not money, it's culture. And what the PassPort bros are proving, it's not money, it's culture. And PassPort bros are proving it by not only showing off the women, but the women are also, because of the black women going in and denigrating those women over there, they're clapping back. They're saying what you're saying about your men are lies. What you're saying about your men and our interaction with your men are lies. And that's shaming black women. In other words, you're not acting that way because black men are broke or dusty or whatever the whole trope is that you put on black men. You're that way is because that's in you. That's part of your culture. That's part of black girl culture. Black woman culture. Look at the videos that they look at. Look at the shows that they look at. Look at the kind of literature that they like to ingest. People like to see themselves in movies. People like to see themselves, or what they want to be themselves, in books, in social media. They act the stuff out. Kevin Samuels did 2 years of interviews with these women. Same thing. These women are who they are. And these women are who they are because of culture. Check out Kim for Harriet, or even Stefco. These are college-educated professional women. They act exactly the same way as a woman from the streets, with better diction and a better vocabulary. That's the only difference. They're the same people. Your dating coaches, a lot of your dating coaches, the exact same people. It's the culture, it's how they were raised, it's what they're taught. It's the schools that they went to. You take independent, matriarchal women, going all the way back to the 1700s, breed that into slave culture, carry that through with Jim Crow and racism, and then you mix in white feminism with it in the 1970s, this is a mix that you get. And if you have a captured captive audience called black men that can't do anything about it. They get to figure that nothing that they do is wrong. And this is what happens. So basically, what's happening with Passport Bros and the democratization of the dating field, the dating apps, the dating and mating, environment means that black women have to compete. And I was talking to Dr. T. They've never learned to compete. They don't know how to compete. The only thing they have in their quill, the only arrow they have in their quill is sign language. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Need to be right is being projected upon the black men. It's because what you're doing with the passports, what you're doing with the women is shaming them. Black women hate to be shamed. They're going to react with sign language and the need to be right. That's what they're doing. They're looking for any excuse to actually prove that they're right and push not only the men that are out in other parts of the world back into this web, but keep the men that are already there locked in. They want to stop the bleeding, and they can't because they don't know how. And this has exposed black women about not knowing how to have a reverse gear. They don't know how to change. They don't know how to be nice. They don't know how to be nurturing to their men because they've never learned. And a few roles that they did have to actually keep a man that their foremothers had, their grandmother, their mother, their grandmother, and the great grandmothers going all the way back, which is the role of wife that they learned as a child. Those skills actually kept black men locked in because those are needed skills. But those skills, starting with the boomers, had atrophied to the point of non-existence. So all they have is the black environment and even the national environment trying to keep black men in place. But the thing is, now black men are leaping over that. Though all those walls are down, there's no fence to keep the black men in. Now, will they all go at once? No, they can't. Will they all leave the black community at once? No, they can't. But now you can see an acceleration of black men leaving. And as they leave, they're pointing back why they left, because that's the first question. People think it's just black men shaming black women and saying that black women suck. But the first question, and this always happens, and black men always get the blame for it, right? The first question is, why did you leave the United States? Why did you have to go 1,000 miles, 8,000 miles, 5,000 miles to find a woman that you wanted? Find a woman that was agreeable. Could you find it here? And the first answer is no. What do you mean no? And then you get into all the other reasons about why you left and what women weren't giving you. Couldn't you find just one of all the women here? No, I couldn't find just one. Why should I pick through the garbage, so to speak, to find $1 bill, to find gold? Well, you should have worked hard enough. Why should I work at all? It should be there for me. The women should already be ready. Why should I work to actually find something that should be in abundance? That's the question. Just as Austin said, I found in abundance something that I should have had in the United States, that I couldn't find in the United States. After years of dating and hundreds of women that I've dated, I found it in abundance. I didn't have to look. So you mix all that with the aforementioned economic and social environment and the internet that democratizes and globalizes dating and mating. What you have is a recipe, as black women say it, for disaster. Now black women have to do something that they've never had to do. They have to compete. They have to compete, and they've never learned how to compete. All they've learned is that black men will always be there because somebody somewhere is going to chase these black men back into their arms, back into the fold, because nobody likes them. They're funny looking. They're socially awkward. They're socially inept. They're socially bad. They're going to do the same things to other women that they did to black women. Even though these are the black women that have been trained to do that. These are the black women that don't like to be married and like to have babies out of wedlock. Go check yourself. Go back and look in history. Okay, these are how black women have socialized black men. People always blame black men for socializing black women instead of the other way around. Black women do this with all groups of men. They don't talk about their white and Latino baby daddies. They don't. But now black men have to be re-socialized someplace else in a different environment. They said, how come you know? They always tell black men to heal. Go to therapy, go to heal. But the thing is I'm actually going to read this paper about that I actually wrote for my daughter, the research about healing, trying to heal damaged black kids, right? First thing, say you have to take them out of the environment. You got to take them out of the environment they were actually damaged in for them to heal. So it's easier to heal in a more conducive environment, an environment that you're supposed to be in. So you can't heal in this dating environment. You can't. You're not going to. It's just going to reinforce the negative behaviors. That's what it's going to do. And so black men are looking to heal themselves by leaving, by finding different women that don't have the same kind of social disease that you have. Far easier to do it with somebody that has a different culture that doesn't reinforce the negative stuff that you have. Black people in America, black men and women, have what I call I say that black people have social sickle cell. You put two black people together, it's going to enhance the disease. It's going to enhance the disorder or the dysfunction. And the only way to actually correct or get rid of the dysfunction is by not marrying, not mating with people that have the same social disorder that you do, which is either black people from another culture, preferably African, because I think Caribbean's too close, or somebody that's not black. And even better, somebody that's outside the country, outside the society, so that feminism and this other kind of Western liberalism doesn't creep in. That's the only way to heal. It's the only way for black men to heal. And this is just the first step. And as you see success stories from overseas, You're going to see more black men actually trying to find out, trying to have it. Because guess what? If you have a long distance relationship, you can afford a $300-$400 ticket to fly to New York. You can afford a $300-$400 ticket to fly to Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Belize, Colombia. For black folks that are in like the South, like Houston, or even Florida, or New Orleans, the Gulf Coast, they can fly to Venezuela. They can fly to Brazil. Black folks on the East Coast can fly to Africa. And keep in contact. So it is what it is. This, the Oscar Holloman is the face, but he's not the wave. And the wave is caused by underlying conditions in the environment. It's how the wave doesn't come out of nowhere. It's got to be caused. It's the effect, it's not the cause. Passport Bros is an effect and not a cause. But the thing is, you can't help it along. Black women don't realize they're really exemplifying the behavior and proving that what the Passport Bros are saying are true. You think you're shaming them. You think you're, by calling them names, that you're going to shame them and guilt them into coming back. No, you're actually proving them right. And I don't know why black women do it, because they think they're being sassy and being smart and being accurate or whatever it is. And they may be right. You could be right about black men, but guess what you're doing? You're telling other younger black men that why these men left is on point, inaccurate, because these are the women that you're getting. And these are the women that you have to put up with. And these are the women that you have to date. And do you want to date them? And they're giving black women a bad name. They think they're shaming Passport Bros or what other kind of SYSBM bros that are dating out and flying overseas. No. What you're doing is actually proving to them, just like Kevin did, proving to them why they need to date out and date elsewhere, because you guys don't have the social and cultural skills to keep them. Here's what it is. But this has gone on long enough. With that, I'm close this out. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.